What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everyone's doing well out there. Today we're talking about our top 24 quarterbacks and our quick and dirty top 30 running backs for week 3 fantasy football. Now, lately we've been getting a lot of questions in the comment section asking about flex rankings. Hey, do you guys do flex rankings? That's where I need some help. If that's what you're looking for, consider becoming a member of the channel. We drop flex rankings every single week for members only. So if you're looking for a little bit of an added boost to your rankings needs, consider hitting that join button here just below the video. But for now, it's time to dive right into the content. We're kicking it off with our top 24 quarterbacks. And really no surprises here at the top. Number 1, Josh Allen. Duh, right? Dude is out there putting up crazy points. Number 2, Jalen Hurts, the rushing upside, really putting him over the top here as of late. Patrick Mahomes doesn't really seem like he's missing Tyreek Hill. He's out there putting up big numbers. And then Lamar Jackson showed you once again why last week he can take over a game with his feet and give you a matchup winning performance. Number 5 right now is Justin Herbert, but he is somebody who I'm definitely watching close as this week progresses. We know he has that rib cartilage issue, and I don't know how much that's actually going to limit him here as of yet. I'm waiting to see the practice reports, and by the end of the week, I'm hoping we have a better understanding of where Justin Herbert should fit. As of right now, number 5, but he could fall down the rankings. Number 6 is Joe Burrow. A lot of people hopping off this guy's bandwagon already, saying that he's overrated. Don't forget, this guy had an appendectomy procedure prior to the season and missed the entire preseason. This is kind of his preseason right now. I expect him to bounce back. Kirk Cousins sitting right here at number 7. A matchup going up against the Detroit Lions, who's been able to be had through the secondary here as of late. Number 8, Matthew Stafford, going up against the Arizona Cardinals. 9, Derek Carr, looking for a bounce back performance for him as well. Does he have Hunter Renfrow? That's one thing to pay attention to. I actually expect a pretty heavy dose of Darren Waller this week. Number 10 is going to be Kyler Murray going up against the Los Angeles Rams, so not the easiest of matchups. Carson Wentz at 11. He's been putting up crazy fantasy numbers here as of late. Carson Wentz is the top 5 fantasy quarterback right now, and that is absolutely mind-blowing. And 12 may be a little bit of a surprise for you. Jared Goff, Detroit Lions. Jared Goff is fantasy viable once again in a matchup going up against the Minnesota Vikings. I think Jared Goff has that potential to kind of sneak into the fringe top 12 every week with this offense in Detroit, which sounds crazy to say. 13 is Jameis Winston, looking to bounce back after the tough matchup against Tampa Bay last week. 14, Joe Flacco. I had to check the date on the calendar. This is like old school Joe Flacco coming back for the New York Jets, putting up back-to-back 300-yard games. Got tons of weapons at his disposal. Got him at 14. 15 is Tua. I would love to put him higher, but a very difficult matchup going up against Buffalo here this week. Tua's going to be reliant on some short plays that get a lot of yak. Can that happen, that offense? Absolutely. That's why I still have him at 15. 16, Ryan Tannehill, looking for him to bounce back after a difficult performance against Buffalo last week. Now he gets the Raiders. Much better situation this week for Ryan Tannehill. 17 is Matt Ryan, looking like he could have Michael Pittman back. He was spotted at practice Wednesday, hoping that he's a full go by the weekend and that Matt Ryan gets his boosted floor back up with his number 1 wide receiver. 18, this is going to be Russell Wilson. The offense in Denver just looks lost altogether, and we don't know the status just yet of Jerry Jeudy. He's definitely somebody I'm paying attention to. 19 is Aaron Rodgers. How about this? 19 and 20, Rodgers and Brady, back-to-back in the standings, way lower than they should be, and they're facing each other. When's the last time that both these guys were ranked so low, especially in a matchup going head-to-head against each other, when all of them are missing their top weapons? I mean, Aaron Rodgers really doesn't have a whole lot to work with in the passing game. Tom Brady's missing Mike Evans, probably Julio Jones, probably Chris Godwin. Just not ideal for these guys to go out there and put up big numbers, so they're sitting back-to-back in the rankings here at 19 and 20. 21, Trevor Lawrence. He's actually creeping up my rankings here. The offense in Jacksonville is looking pretty good, and the way he's utilizing the likes of Christian Kirk down the field is really helping boost his floor. What is going to take him higher in this rankings, though, is he's got to start rushing the ball a little bit more. We could get those 30 yards a week or so that could really put us over the top and make him maybe a solid low-end start. 22 is Marcus Mariota. Pretty inconsistent in Atlanta, and until this dude really starts to utilize Kyle Pitts, he's kind of on the back burner of fantasy rosters right now. 23 is Jimmy G. We know what he looks like in this offense. Going to help him win ball games. Not going to score a ton of fantasy points. And then 24, Baker Mayfield, Carolina Panthers. This offense isn't very vertical right now, consistently anyway, but they have the pieces to do so. Going up against New Orleans this week, he could have that opportunity for a lot of dink and dunk down the field and hopefully find the end zone a time or two. Got him at 24. But we know there's a ton of great options at the quarterback position here this week. A lot of guys that maybe you haven't thought about at all this year, kind of fantasy viable with their matchups here in week 3, but now is the time that you've all been waiting for. Sit back, relax, put your feet up. It's the quick and dirty top 30 running backs for week 3. And number 1 shouldn't be a huge surprise to you. Jonathan Taylor still sitting atop my list, even though a down week 2 happened last week. It was really more game script related. It's not like Jonathan Taylor has lost a step or anything. Number 2, Dalvin Cook, Minnesota Vikings, a great matchup for him going up against Detroit. 3, Joe Mixon. Tough matchup last week going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Now he gets the Jets this week, like Joe Mixon a lot, got him at 3. 4 is Derrick Henry in a bounce-back game going up against Las Vegas. Way easier to run on Vegas than it was against Buffalo last week. Number 5 is Austin Eckler. How limited is Justin Herbert? Do we see more dump downs? Do we see more reliancy on Austin Eckler this week? Number 6 is Saquon Barkley, the New York Giants, Monday Night Football, going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Not the easiest of defensive matchups for Saquon Barkley, but he really is the main portion of their offense. You know he's going to be relied upon. Got him at 6. 7 is Christian McCaffrey. Carolina Panthers going up against the New Orleans Saints. Going to have to rely a little bit more on the passing game, which is a good thing because we could use more passing volume going the way of McCaffrey. Got him at 7. 8 is DeAndre Swift. Seems like he's good to go. Already come out and said that his ankle is feeling a whole lot better going up against Minnesota this week. But this guy is so efficient as of late, and the big plays are there. Got him at number 8. 9, Leonard Fournette may be one of the only guys in Tampa Bay that can catch passes this week as everybody else is out. Got him at 9. And then 10, Nick Chubb. Thursday Night Football going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Volume. Chubb is touching the ball almost 25 times a game. And with that being said, you got to put him inside the top 10 at number 10. On to number 11, Najee Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers going up against Nick Chubb and those Cleveland Browns. Najee looked healthy last week. We saw him take a bump in volume last week as well. Already come out that Jadeveon Clowney not suiting up for Cleveland, so I got Najee at 11. Number 12, David Montgomery, who looked like a man possessed for Chicago. The only guy that can move the chains in Chicago is David Montgomery. He's got the Houston Texans this week, got him at 12. 13 is Javonte Williams. They're going to have to utilize this guy more in the passing game, especially if they do not have Jerry Jeudy this week. That's something to pay attention to. Got Javonte Williams at 13. 14 is Aaron Jones in a very difficult matchup for him going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Aaron Jones, somebody who probably won a lot of people their matchups last week, has such a super high ceiling, but this is a super tough matchup, so I got him dropped down to 14. 15 is Miles Sanders, finally committed to in Philadelphia as the true number 1. Got a matchup against Washington, so he's going to be sitting right here at 15. His opponent in that game, Antonio Gibson, sitting at number 16, going up against Philadelphia. Gibby's days are numbered. I have a feeling of this, that once we see Brian Robinson return, the touches are really going to start going away from Antonio Gibson if he cannot get more consistent with his efficiency. But for now, have him at 16. 17 is Cordero Patterson, Atlanta Falcons. Better matchup for him here this week, going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Tough matchup last week against the Rams, looking for CPAT to bounce back. 18 is CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This guy has been super efficient, not getting a whole lot of volume, but he's been productive with it. Not the easiest of matchups for him going up against Indianapolis, but definitely a matchup that he can exploit through the air. Number 19 is Josh Jacobs, Las Vegas Raiders, going up against the Tennessee Titans. A great matchup for Josh Jacobs on paper, but they just haven't overly committed to a running game in Las Vegas just yet. That's why I got him dropped down to 19. 20 is Kareem Hunt in that Thursday night matchup going up against Pittsburgh. Expect him to be involved in the passing game. 21 is James Conner. Is he limited at all this week? If he's not, he could move up just a couple spots this week going up against the Los Angeles Rams, but it's still a very difficult matchup. And if he's not 100%, I expect a split with Darrell Williams and Eno Benjamin, so I got James Conner at 21. 22, A.J. Dillon. Like I said, a super tough matchup for them going up against Tampa Bay. Really hard to rank both these guys inside the top 20 against such a difficult defense to run on, so he's sitting at 22. 23 is Damian Harris, coming off a great week for the New England Patriots. And even though he's not getting the bulk of the snaps, and still Ramondre Stevenson, he's getting the bulk of the touches going up against Baltimore this week. 24 is James Robinson, Jacksonville Jaguars. I mentioned this in my start-sit video. The production from J-Rob is great, but it's all touchdown based. So if the touchdowns stop, you're going to be disappointed with the performance you get because he's only averaging like 2.5 yards per carry. I don't dislike James Robinson. I hate just being so dependent on touchdowns. Got him at 24. 25 is Dameon Pierce in a matchup going up against Chicago, hoping that he can get close to 20 touches this week. If they can keep this game close, 26 is Zeke Elliott. Would love to put him higher. A matchup Monday Night Football against the Giants on the road, and Zeke Elliott hasn't been able to get anything going since they lost Dak Prescott and the majority of their offensive line. 29, so he's at 26. 27 is Alvin Kamara. Going up against Carolina, which is still a pretty solid defense to go against, but we don't even know how available he's going to be as of yet, so make sure you stay tuned for that. 28 is Michael Carter. I expect the Jets to be trailing this week and having to throw. That bodes a little bit better for Michael Carter, who's still dominating the touches through the air. 29 is Jeff Wilson Jr. for the San Francisco 49ers. I actually like Jeff Wilson. I contemplated putting him maybe a few spots higher. He's somebody that, make sure you pay attention to the live show. He may actually still climb a few spots in these rankings. With no TD Price, with no Trey Lance, there's a potential that Jeff Wilson sees a bump in volume this week and maybe even gets a few more scoring opportunities. So for right now, he's at 29, but trending up. And then 30, Darrell Henderson. I understand that Cam Akers is probably going to start getting more touches, but as of right now, the better runner on the ground is Darrell Henderson, even though he's in a pretty heavy split with Cam Akers, and that's why I can't put him any higher. But like usual, I'm a man of the people, so I got to give you my 5 guys who are just outside my top 30 for the running back position. I got Tony Pollard, who, yes, he could see some decent touches, but a lot of people keep saying Tony Pollard's better than Zeke. Tony Pollard's better than Zeke. No, he's not. A lot of people don't realize that if Tony Pollard was put into the same role as Ezekiel Elliott, he would not be succeeding. What makes Tony Pollard viable to some people is the role that he currently has in his involvement in the passing game. Breece Hall starting to take over a little bit more of that groundwork, but like I said, I see more passing through the air this week. Travis Etienne, at some point this guy's going to get going. At some point Travis Etienne's going to have a huge game. It's probably going to be on people's bench for right now, and that's okay because we want to see it happen before we can trust it, but he is somebody who's on the verge. 35, Cam Akers, like I said, splitting touches with Darrell Henderson. And then lastly, Devin Singletary, I guess the lead back, but technically the lead back is probably still Josh Allen in Buffalo in a matchup here this week that he could find a little bit of running room, but not a whole lot to where I can put him inside my top 30. As of right now, though, those are my first 5 out of the top 30 that could be trending up if anything happens to the guys further up the list. So there you have it, my top 24 quarterbacks, my top 30 running backs for week 3 fantasy football. Just a quick reminder, rankings are meant to be different. A lot of people say, well, I would do this differently. I would do this differently. That's cool. That's why you can make rankings as well. If we all agreed on all of our rankings and all of our takes, what would be the purpose of even doing any of this? We're supposed to disagree so you can see different perspectives on different players, and that really helps you draw the best conclusion for what's best for your fantasy team, and that's why we do shows like this. But do me a favor, if you enjoy the content, hit the like button, consider subscribing if you haven't already, because we got you covered with all things fantasy football until the season is over. And then we'll probably just pick it right back up at the first of the year and just never stop. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you can for me. I really appreciate the support here as of late. The channel just continues to grow. We're getting closer. We're making the push for 175. Can you help us get to 175 before the end of the season? Would love to see that number. But for now, I'm going to head out of here. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, a great week, and we'll talk to you later.